You are all very silent.
Hello.
Are you all meditating? Hi.
We are all
Okay.
waiting.
Huh?
We are waiting.
You're waiting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we could, every moment of waiting, we could turn it into a meditation, isn't it? Let me
Sure.
put the loudspeaker so I can hear you properly. Ah. Hi, Tom.
Hi, good evening, Anina.
Hello.
So I'll do my bit and then we'll
And
start.
then we can, let's go.
All right.
Exactly.
אוקיי, אז שלום לכולם, שלום לכולן, ברוכים וברוכות השבים והשבות לשיעור נוסף של אני לוסנג בנושא מדריך לחיי הבודהיסטווה, פרק 6 סבלנות מאת שנטידבה. כמו תמיד אני אבקש מכולם במידת האפשר להדליק מצלמות כדי שנוכל לראות אחד את השני, ככה גם יותר נחמד לעשות דיון ותחושה אינטימית ונכונה יותר. אני אוסיף גם שבנוסף כל הפגישות שלנו, כולל הפגישה הזאת, משודרים בשידור לייב בערוץ היוטיוב של ידידי הדרמה, וניתן לראות אותם בשידור חוזר מתי שתרצו בכל רגע ובכל מקום, ופרטים לכך אפשר למצוא באתר של ידידי הדרמה. ודבר אחרון, דבר לפני האחרון בעצם, בעוד שבועיים אנילה אמרה שהיא לא תוכל לקיים מפגש, זאת אומרת ביום רביעי, זה השני לדצמבר, לא יתקיים מפגש. אני אזכיר את זה גם בשבוע הבא, ותהיה גם הודעה על כך בעמוד של האתר באתר של ידידי הדרמה. לסיום אני אגיד לציין שמוסיף שכל הפעילות שלנו של עמותת ידידי הדרמה היא נעשית בנדבות ותוך נדיבות הלב, ואם אתם רוצים שהפעילות הזאת תורמת לכם ועוזרת לכם ומיטיבה עמכם, נשמח מאוד אם תוכלו גם אתם לתרום מנדיבות לכם ולתת לנו תרומה של דנה. את הפרטים לכך גם אפשר למצוא באתר של ידידי הדרמה, ואני עוד מעט אעלה על הצ'אט את הקישור לעמוד הפייפל של המורה שלנו, שם אפשר גם לתת לדנה באופן ישיר. אז תודה רבה שאתם כאן, כיף לראות אתכם שוב, ונתחיל. Thank you very very much Anila for coming this week and giving us the teaching. It's very precious and we are very we appreciate it a lot.
Well, anyway, me also, I appreciate a lot that you're still listening to me. And yeah, I mean, the chapter on patience is not easy to deal with, and the ones to come may be even more difficult. So again, it's really good to check our motivation, why we are doing this, whether we really understand the benefits of patience and whether we really understand the shortcomings of anger without judging ourselves and without starting to hate ourselves, because we still, I guess all of us, we still are, subject to sometimes we have no choice. I mean, this is like whether anger arises or no. Of course, you get up maybe in the morning and you can say that, you can try, and you can try to say, okay, today, strong determination, I will not get angry, but it won't work. This is the thing, you meet with people, you meet with situation, then still anger arises. So then it's really important that you're not starting to get discouraged, and you're not starting to think that something is wrong with you, because the imprints of anger, tendencies, habits are so very strong. So, but then the choice that we don't have a choice whether anger will arise or not, but we do have a choice, and the choice we have is to not to follow then the pull or the strength the force of anger, and then not to say or do anything until anger has calmed down, and then to apply antidotes that I think we shared some antidotes last time with each other. So, so the first step is always is awareness, that we train our mind that it is almost naturally aware, because its nature is awareness. It's just that we don't know it. We don't, very, very often we're lost in thoughts and in fantasies, and we're not aware of what we're doing. And quite often when we hear that we have to be aware of whatever we're doing, we might get a bit stressed and think, oh man, that's too much. If I need to know that I'm walking or sitting, and on top of it, I have to work and all these kinds of things, we don't really see the benefit of training in awareness, because the quicker you see when a negative emotion or an unhelpful emotion arises, the quicker you can identify them and not to go along with them, and you not to be identified with them, then the more you have a choice of just, seeing it, letting it be, accepting it also, maybe applying an antidote, but sometimes it doesn't even need an antidote. Just to have a very conscious thought by, oops, I'm angry, I better not say anything, that takes away a lot of strength from the anger, because very often we're not aware of it, we don't see it, we just pull along with it. So let's start the session like we always do, with some awareness meditation. So the first thing that we are getting aware of is always the body, because that one is the easiest to find. So maybe also, or the room where you're in. So first, just very consciously become aware of where you are, not with thoughts, but just with direct knowing, as if you would be a mirror, just reflecting the things, not good and bad, or no names, just to know where you are, to be totally aware, to sense, to feel this quality of awareness, of knowing. And then to become aware of the body, to experience the body. And maybe try to see the difference between before not having been aware and now being aware. And then to notice how difficult it is to keep that awareness, that it slips away all the time. So when you look, when you read in the texts about developing concentration or calm abiding, like the first step is placing the mind. And the second step is already replacing the mind. So they say our awareness, when we're not well trained, is like a rubber ball that you throw against the wall. It doesn't stick there, it just immediately comes back. And then we replace it again and again and again and again. And determination really helps you with this. So for example, you could say, this is not going to last that long. So we'll do 10 minutes. So it's worthwhile to make the effort not to go into planning the future and not to hang around in the past, but to give a little bit of a push so that, for example, the awareness remains on the body. And that can be anything. That can be just a part of your body. It can be the breath. It can be the posture of your body. You choose. Like it is as simple that, let's say, you try to be aware of your thumb, for example. Or especially if you have a regular awareness practice, then of course you do that. And what is also very important, why am I doing this? You know, why? I'm so busy. Why am I sitting down and doing nothing 10 minutes? Actually, you know, the thought of, wow, nothing to do for 10 minutes. Isn't that wonderful? I don't have to figure things out. I can just allow my natural awareness to be aware, to notice. Isn't that wonderful? So we don't have to worry about the past, nor about the future. So it's good to find your own place in the body where you do feel comfortable with the object. It can be your breath, like in breath, out breath. Or as I said, it can just be the body posture, knowing that you are sitting. And then very, very important, please bring a friendly feeling to this exercise. An appreciation towards yourself that you're doing this. So necessary that we make that promise to ourselves, not just when we do meditation. I will be kind to myself. I will not push. But also being kind to ourselves doesn't mean not to do anything. To generate a feeling, this is a good thing that I'm doing here. Because it will help me to become the person that I want to be. Open, courageous, loving, patient. Whenever the mind goes into thoughts without being frustrated, without feeling discouraged, just very simply bring it back. Okay, great. How is that going with that basic, very basic awareness meditation? Are you doing okay with this, or are you having problems somewhere, or questions, or it's all good? Yeah. Okay. Great. So but if you do have questions, then you can, of course, you can always ask. Okay. So we were talking about death the other day, quite a bit, and that we had this very kind of difficult verse here. Thus it is better I die today than to live a long and wicked life. We discussed that. And then we were discussing about how important it is, I think, to have a long life, and that maybe we don't really worry so much about our moment of death, like we're so involved with life that we forget that death also kind of belongs to life, and without death we cannot live. Like when we are born, we will have to die. And so Shantideva is telling us that when things are finished, not just when you die, but also when things are finished, they're finished and they will never come back. So it doesn't really matter how long they were lasting. When they're finished, they are finished. Yeah. Like if something really pleasant that you had for a long time, when you have to leave it behind or when it's finished, it actually hurts more. The better it was. You see, with our desire and attachment, this is these two verses, that if one awakens from a dream, the one who had just short moment and the one who had long moments is the same. But you see, sometimes we would like to kind of we would like to still our desire and our attachment by consuming the things that we desire or that we are attached to, by thinking that they will then alleviate that feeling of being in loss or not having enough. But actually it's quite the opposite, because when you have experienced something that you liked very much, when it's finished, you're actually worse off than before it happened. Yeah, it's a bit like, they say it's like trying to fulfill our desire that we have, because the desire that we have is not for the object. The desire that we have is for the good feeling, like being happy, being content, being peaceful, being calm. And we're trying to find that in the objects. So it's a bit like, scratching a wound. So when you scratch the wound, meaning when you have contact with these people, or when you consume the object, or when you are in the situation, you scratch the wound. It's very pleasant when you scratch the wound, but it actually, it makes the wound deeper. It doesn't allow it to heal. And we will never find lasting satisfactions in things that are by themselves impermanent. So, and also, as you notice, sometimes actually it's quite good that the things do not last too long, because then we get fed up with it. Have you ever noticed that something that we like very much, and then we do it for a very long time, and the sensation that comes from doing it is not the same anymore, but still we can't let go. We're still trying to find the same thing that we had when we were at the beginning of the occasion. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Are you understanding? Have you ever noticed that? That we know that the fun and the pleasure is done, is finished, but we still continue to do it. Have you ever experienced that?
That's why we are here.
Huh? That's why here.
That's why we are here. Otherwise, if pleasure could go on and on.
Yeah, right. It doesn't. But almost the perversity of it, the pleasure is gone, yet we continue to do it. So what do you think that is? Is it wisdom? Is it kindness to ourselves? What is it?
Habit.
Why are we
Habit.
doing that?
Mm.
Who
It's a
wants-
habit. We
Yeah, it's a habit. Okay. And
Attachment.
habits. Attachment, exactly. Attachment still, you kind of projects that if I do more of this, or if I get more of this, finally I will be satisfied and I will be happy. And maybe in the head we know it's not true, but somehow as Netta is saying, is like the habit of it is so strong. So then again, the awareness, sometimes it's really good to stop and say, hey, why am I doing this? What do I really want? Yeah. Okay. So then I was asking you as homework to, whatever something unpleasant comes, when you get upset or frustrated, to ask yourself, will this matter at the time of death? Or will it be important at the time of death? Will I give this event as much importance as I give it now? Would it frustrate me as much as it does frustrate me now if I would be, let's say, I don't know, on my deathbed or at the time of death? Did anybody do that? Or do you all think that you are not going to die, therefore you don't have to think about death? Do you all belong to these people who think, no, I'm not going to die. Why should I prepare for death? Why should I take death into my practice? Do you belong to those? Or do you not know where you belong? Did anybody do the exercise? Yes or no?
I tried.
Yeah.
It was difficult.
Yes.
It was difficult and even embarrassing a little bit to find out that everything that I'm getting angry about or something like this is nonsense. So it's like, okay, it's
Yeah.
like a question mark with, okay, so
Uh-huh.
it was quite difficult. So like, what am I doing now?
Okay. Yeah. Well, it doesn't mean that you don't do anything, but
Yeah,
you're not reacting anymore, but you are reacting with a different mind state. Yeah, this is what this whole chapter is all about, that we learn to react with anger. And because we are so convinced that we do need anger in order to change something, yeah, or that we do need anger in order to survive, or we do need anger even in order to be happy, that we don't notice that actually anger is destroying all our happiness. Because especially when we come down to sense pleasures, when you are angry, you cannot enjoy anything. Yeah. So it's just to be able to let go of the anger. I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh who said at one point, and everybody just burst out laughing in the whole audience when he said, well, if you have a problem with a person, like a conflict, because it's a lot about conflicts here also. So if you have a conflict with another person, that you think now is so important, and then he says, just think about you and this other person in 100 years from now. So, if you do have a conflict with a person, think that, or maybe 100 years is too much, I mean, in my case, I won't get to 170. If I would have a problem with somebody and I think of the two of us, not just her, but also me, in 30 years from now, both of us 100 years old, kind of like this. So then the conflict would be gone. So this is why we do integrate death in our life, because so many people, so many things that we give so much importance, as you say, in the face of death, they become totally trivial. But it doesn't mean that you don't live anymore. I actually think if you integrate death into your life, then your life becomes much fuller, because then we appreciate much more. We appreciate, we see the good things much more than we see the negative things. I mean, it's amazing, you know, when somebody is kind to you, somebody helps you, or somebody just maybe, I don't know, behaves the way you want them to behave. A short moment we're happy, but then we forget about it, isn't it? If somebody kind of, you know, tells you you're an idiot, or is not kind to you, or goes against your wishes, gosh, I mean, how long do we take that with us? So why is it like that? I mean, why can't we take the good things with us? Why have we trained ourselves only to be concentrated on the negative things, like that they preoccupy us so much? Even, you know, the situation is long finished and there's nothing you can do about the situation. Still, we worry about it. Why are we so attached to our worries? It's a good question, isn't it? You know, like feelings of or memories of things when you got hurt or harmed or insulted or whatever. I mean, they're very present. They come up very, very quickly. But then, you know, the good memories, they kind of seem to fade. They kind of seem to need a lot of more effort to come back out. Unless you have time, as I think I already said last time, I have a lot of free time during the day now, because we're closed. So I have really amazing memories coming up, things that I had totally forgotten, which then do now, just thinking about them, make me very happy. And we would have access to them all the time, you know? So it's not that I was feeling sad, but I was kind of feeling a bit, how to say, insignificant today. And then all of a sudden I had this memory. We had a dog who had puppies, but then it was in the winter in Tushita in India, and the dog kind of disappeared. And I was in retreat, like not seeing anybody, not talking to anybody. And then, you know, Tushita in the winter, it's snow, it's cold, nobody wants to stay there. And so it was just me and I think 2 other people or 3 other people, 1 cook, and then the person, the monk who looked after the center, Victor. So he came banging on my door and he said, look, Anila, I know you are in retreat, but I don't know what to do. There's these 3 puppies and they were like big like this, like little mice. They didn't even have their eyes open yet. And he said, I don't know what to do. I mean, the mother is gone. And they are kind of going, you know, you can feel that they're hungry and thirsty and whatever. So then I didn't know what to do. Shall I get out of the retreat? Shall I do this? And I'm more always for action. So then I thought, well, you know, I mean, how can I not go and help this monk? So I went down and then we actually managed to keep these 3 little things alive. And they turned out to be 3 dogs, 3 normal, a little bit, one was a bit traumatic kind of dogs because we had them covered all the time in a box. So then all 3 of them, when they were still at Tushita, whenever there was danger, they would go into the drain. Like, you know, whenever there was danger, they would go into something that they could really be like, like this. So we almost had to wrap them and we would feed them, you know, with eyedropper kind of things. And then they didn't drink because the eyedropper is glass and it's not, you know, it's not pleasant like a tit of the mother. So I gave him my little finger so they could suck on it and I would just squirt the milk inside until they almost exploded. You know, I mean, we learned a lot of things, Rachel and me, how to keep small puppies alive. Then they didn't make caca. So then again, you know, it was that problem. Then somebody said, well, you know, their mother licks their ass. So then they immediately make caca. I didn't know that. So then I thought, oh, I'm not going to lick their ass. Thank you very much. But then I took a cotton wool and then I was kind of, you know, just wiping them with something wet. And then, yeah, the moment you touch their bum, poof, the caca just comes out. So like this, so I totally forgotten. And so today, because I had time, I already, you know, I remembered. And I think it's good for you also, especially when you don't feel so well, to have these memories, you know, which are not attachment. I'm not going on, oh, when will I ever get the occasion again to kind of look after puppies that would die of hunger and of cold? You know, it's not, I'm not missing them. It's fine. It's just a very nice memory without, you know, without, how to say, without attachment that it should come back. I mean, the people who came to visit, because we were burning wood for them so that they would be warm. You know, we didn't burn wood for human beings so that we are warm. They thought we were, the Tibetan thought we were totally crazy, like trying to save these small puppies that are quite insignificant. And, you know, while the human beings are shivering with cold and we are trying to keep them warm. And it was very interesting to see also about attachment. Like the first 4 or 5 days, I had absolutely no hope that they would survive because it was really freezing cold. And, you know, Tushita is difficult in the winter. And Tushita is in India, by the way, in Dharamsala, if you don't know. And so I had no attachment. So I didn't have any expectation that they would survive. You know, I was prepared for them to die. But maybe after 5 days, whenever I would go down, because we took shifts, like we were feeding them every 2 hours. So whenever I would go down, and lifted the cover, I was afraid that they would be dead. Only after 5 days, I had developed that attachment. And now they have to survive, they have to survive 5 days. They survived 5 days, so now they have to survive. So, yeah, so, you know, this is what I'm saying. It's good for you also to find things that you can, to resource yourself when you're not feeling well or when you feel bored or whatever. So you don't have to take refuge in these other kind of, maybe sometimes a little bit unhealthy things. Okay? Do you have things like this? You know, I don't know, thinking about your grandmother. Me thinking about my grandmother just makes me feel good. Thinking about my mom, not so much. It's more difficult. But my grandma, you know, thinking about her food that she gave me, although it was very simple, things like that. Yeah. Especially when we're angry, especially when, you know, somebody is, we kind of carry something with us obsessively, then counteract it with some pleasant situation, some pleasant experience. Okay? Anybody else did do that thing, will it matter at the time of death? Maybe I will put you into chat rooms at one point and then you will have to start talking. Anybody else did do it? Tom, you didn't do it? No?
No, I didn't when this time.
Yeah,
I did think a lot about death during the week.
Yeah.
I remember one time going back from work in the
Uh-huh.
bus and thinking to myself, well, that was the end of this day, and I'm one more day closer to my death.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started calculating how many days will I have till I die.
Yeah.
Assuming that I will die in old age, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, right.
of course, assuming, but then it didn't seem too much, like not that many days as I would like to think. And like it wasn't astronomically big number. It was like a number that would diminish every day, and
Yeah.
it made me scared. Actually, it made me
Yeah.
feel, well, if that is what's going on, and this is what I'm doing now, is it what I would like to do in the future? It made me think a lot, and it wasn't very pleasant. It was frightening in a way.
Of course, it is frightening. You know, it's not meant to be pleasant, by the way. So again, you know, I think we make this mistake that when I give you these homework or whatever, don't look for it to be pleasant or whatever. Just look what happens. Yeah. When you say make me scared, so we don't like to be scared. So then again, we put it in the cupboard. And this is a little bit like, you know, you have to do an exam, but your exam makes you scared, and then you don't want to be scared, and then you forget about it, and then you don't learn. But by facing the fear of death, we might then start to slowly think, okay, what will help me at the time of death? Yeah, and this is the next verse, actually. It just brings me to the next verse. So whatever homework I give you, it's for you to observe what is happening, not that, anger is gone, I feel happy, I feel pleasant, or whatever. It's not like this. Practicing Dharma is not about feeling pleasant. Practicing Dharma is about understanding how the mind works and to be able to then apply antidotes so that then the happiness or the well-being comes, with healthy causes or with not unhelpful causes. Yeah.
Annie, I can tell about.
Yes, please, Hadar.
I had maybe two situations. I had some situation and I tried to practice the two homeworks. Mm-hmm. One time I was very frustrated about filling forms that I needed to fill. And it took me a long time and I wasn't sure it's correct. And I felt very not comfortable. Then I said, okay, use the antidote exercise. So I went and opened the pomegranate and then ate it slowly. And not that food is always the antidote, but sometimes. But it made me also calmer to open. But then I thought, okay, what are you going to do? You have to fill those forms, and it still makes you, and you don't want to go with it when you're going to die. You don't want to be frustrated about filling forms when you are almost dying. And so I didn't exactly know what to do. I just waited a little bit that I will like be calmer, and then tried again. And okay, I felt I like what you said now. I just saw the situation. I didn't really succeed to overcome it and not be frustrated, but I did something.
Yeah. I mean, if these methods would work immediately, then as Nachum said at the beginning, we wouldn't be here anymore. We would be all kind of somewhere having fun. But Dalit, did you see the message of Dalit that she wrote? Thank you, Hadar. So it's, but we get used to it. And with time, it really helps to calm us down. That we see that, okay, I'm getting so frustrated now. But again, it doesn't mean that you should not react. This is the thing, and I think this is also very deep sitting, that we think that we need anger in order to start to react to something. But we don't. I think, all the situations that we have that we react with anger, I'm pretty sure for all of them, there would be a more helpful way to react than with anger. It's not, anger sometimes helps. Yeah, that's true, to get what you want, or, if you need to fight to survive or whatever. But sometimes also it doesn't help. So anger is not, it looks to us as if anger works all the time. This is why we're trying always first with anger. But it's not true. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Whereas if like patience, which is a mind who can endure calmly, peacefully, and can stay open even in difficult situations. And that's difficult and it's hard and it's painful. I'm not saying it's not, but we can train the mind to do that. And then, yes, you have to fill the forms and then you just do it. And I give you another example. When I did Bodhisattva retreat, it's a 3-month retreat, a group retreat, at Tushita, and all of us, we were pretty new, we're not like these people who say like, oh, great, I can go into retreat. So I was coming from a very difficult situation. I was volunteering in Land of Medicine Buddha in America, and it was totally, they had bought something who had been abandoned and neglected, and it was dirty and junk everywhere, and old cars and old fridges and old blankets. You know, I was just going back and forth to the junkyard with the car to kind of throw these things away. And we had to do a lot of handiwork, but nobody really knew how to do this. So we did a lot of work for nothing because somebody had started painting the kitchen, somebody else continued with a little bit different mixture of paint, you know, and I mean, I could tell you stories how much work we did there for nothing. So it's very frustrating. And of course, I was totally new in the Dharma. I didn't see this as an occasion to practice patience. Wow, I was so angry sometimes. So then, and we had to make decisions, you know, ourselves, which we didn't know whether these are the right decisions or not. A little bit like you with the forms, you know, we didn't know. So then going to this retreat just after these 3 or 4 months in this very difficult situation, it was so blissful because all I had to do is sit on the cushion and do the session, which is written on a piece of paper and all this. So for me, it was almost like heaven. Then we had other people who came from traveling situation, you know, like young people do in Asia, totally free, being able to do whatever you want to do. You feel like doing something, you get out of bed. If you don't want to get out of bed, you stay in bed. These people found it very, very difficult to have the discipline of the retreat. Like for 3 months, every day, starting 4 sessions, long sessions, at 5 o'clock and finishing at 10 o'clock at night. For them, it was very difficult. So again, you see, the difficult situations that are in, it's not necessarily the worst thing that can happen to us, because it's then that we build up strength. Whereas when everything goes easy and smooth, it's not then that you will have a peaceful death necessarily, by the way, you know. But when I see in old age, people who have had a really difficult life, in general, I'm not saying everybody, but in general, they seem to be more content. They seem to be also more ready that they let other people look after them in a way, you know, because they find it pleasant. They find it pleasant that they don't have to struggle anymore and to do everything by themselves. Some, not everybody. Yeah. So again, you know, patience is really, really helpful, but we can only develop it when we do have difficult situations. And this is what we very often forget. You know, we would all like to have patience, I think, but then we run away from the difficult situations where we could practice patience, meaning situation is difficult, you feel your frustration, you apply an antidote. The antidote can be go back to your breathing. The antidote could be, oh, would it be so frustrating, you know, would it matter so much at the time of death? Or whatever. But then, you know, filling out forms, it doesn't mean that you stop filling out the form, but you start to calm down and you think, oh, the situation at the time of death will most probably be much more difficult than just now filling out these forms. So you put it into relation. Yeah, like me, the discipline of the retreat, I found it very, very easy, because the difficult situation for 3 months in Land of Medicine Buddha, I found very, very difficult. Yeah. So it's all, you know, things are difficult or easy or pleasant or unpleasant, always in relation to something else that we have experienced. And this we forget very, very often. And we only see that one situation. And then either we blow it up or we, you know, and then it becomes very, very important. And then the more important that specific moment is, and it has to be good and it has to be easy and it has to be this and that, the more the mind narrows down and the easier we get frustrated. Yeah, there's no more space for anything else. Or, you know, a very good antidote is also, as I said, thinking about something pleasant that you have experienced, then you calm down, then you continue with whatever you are doing. Or yeah, or just as if you would be talking to a child who has to do the homework, Would you scream at the child and say, come on, do it, be patient? You wouldn't. You would tell the child the advantage of doing the homework, wouldn't you? How many times do we do that? How many times do we do that favor to ourselves? How many, how good is I'm not saying it's not good, I'm just asking the question. How good is our ability to be kind to ourselves and to encourage ourselves to do something difficult? How developed is that ability? This you have to ask yourself. Okay, so let's continue with the text. He still goes on about death, unfortunately, because we've gone to here, yeah? Talking about a long life is not so important, but a good life is important. And then what is a good life? This is for you to decide. So then, although I may live happily for a long time, so he says, even if you don't die young, through obtaining a great deal of material wealth, I shall go forth empty-handed and destitute, just like having been robbed by a thief. So we get very upset when somebody steals something that we say is mine. And then we think, well, at the time of death, it will not be a problem because, I have to leave everything behind. But that might be a that might be quite a big illusion also, that we will not be upset having to leave all these things behind. So I don't know, sometimes people say, oh, maybe bring him his favorite food. Anyway, dying people, they're not interested in food, so you can forget about that one. Or play him his favorite music. But at the time of death will exactly be not like now. These sensual things will not give satisfaction. There will come the fear of, this is the last time. And I will never be able to experience that again. So I am not sure, to bring to a dying person their favorite things. Much better, Lama Zopa always says, take them away from them, because it just increases clinging to this life. So when somebody steals something or takes something that you think they're not supposed to take, just see how you react. And then think, okay, at the time of death, I have to leave everything behind. So now I only lost one thing. I didn't lose all of it. Yeah, so there again, the thought about death can be quite helpful. Because in a way, no matter whether our life is long or short, in the end, we all have to die. And sometimes we only start to think about this when we have people around us dying. Otherwise, we totally forget, and we really live our life as if we would never die. So most hope for a long and happy life, but then we don't think that we have to create the causes for a long and happy life. So, for example, to have a long life, you need to have the karma not to have killed, For happiness, you need to have the karma or the karmic seeds, the karmic potential to have been ethical. Then you are happy. Yeah. So, but if our long and happy life is built on the suffering of other people, the consequences in the future will not be pleasant. A brief life in which we weaken destructive habits would be preferable. And we have all seen people, I think you know all of them, they're quite rich, and they would have money for 5 lifetimes, but still they constantly worry about their money or about their possessions. So that could come from, from building your happiness from a past life on the suffering of others. And then even though you have everything, you have all the conditions to be happy. You have a good government, you have a nice house, you have a nice family, you have a healthy body, but still you are eaten up by worries all the time. That could be a result of a past life of having built your happiness on the suffering of others? Do you know somebody like this? Or can you imagine that there could be people like this? You know, when we look at them, we go like, why are they worried about their livelihood? I mean, look at them. Yeah. We all know. And I think sometimes we even belong to those as well, isn't it? Because when we look at other people who have much less than we have, then, I mean, why are we worried? Why do we worry so much? So again, you know, it's the question is, do we really trust the law of cause and effect? Do we really trust that in order to be happy, we have to be ethical? And the result from being ethical now of happiness and well-being, it might not come right now, because it's not that when we create the karma that the result comes immediately. Do we trust that whatever I create now, at one point it will bring a result? Do we have that trust? You know, difficult, isn't it? We are short term. Do we make an effort? Because ethical conduct, again, needs effort, because sometimes it's not comfortable. You see, everybody likes to be ethical. When the ethical conduct comes easy and is not expensive, then, yeah, then we're all, you know, who is for ethical conduct? Me, everybody. When then it says, oh, but it will cost something. Oh, well, then I don't know, you know. We will have a vote here in Switzerland next weekend where the big firms, we have to vote whether they will be held responsible for the damage they're doing to the environment and to people. You know, imagine needing to vote for that, because they're not taking responsibility to, you know, to pay for the damage. I'm not sure if that will be accepted, because it will be expensive. You know, so I think especially now with the COVID and all this, and if you know, because there's a lot of changes, like the environment can recover, and people have more time, maybe they're less stressed and this and that, but also it has a lot of disadvantages of financial problems and all this. But will we again just then be interested in the financial loss and not see the benefits that it does to the environment? Yeah. But it will cost something if we really want to make a change in the world. If we want to have more equanimity, if we want to have more balance between the rich and the poor, we will have to pay for it. Are we ready to do that? You know? Then thinking about the time of death, you know, will that help me at the time of death? Or at least thinking that I have not contributed in, you know, in exploiting others and things like that. So we all want to have a precious human rebirth so that we can continue with the practice. Do you remember the causes for a precious human rebirth? And these causes, we have to create them now. Leora Kenneth is nodding. So Leora Kenneth, can you please tell us these causes for the precious human rebirth in case that somebody has forgotten about them?
Ethical conduct, generosity, aspiration to be born as a human person, patience.
Yeah, exactly. And this we can practice, I think. This we can read, and practice means training. It doesn't mean that, you know, we have to wait until we're able to do it and then we do it. No, it means training. So whatever occasion we have, then we can train. And to do this again, to do this consciously. Okay? Because again, you know, you can maybe, when you look past experiences that were really pleasant, is good to see what kind of feelings does it produce now when you think about the past experiences. If it produces a longing and a kind of sadness that it's gone, like me, I still have it sometimes when I look at the mountains, because now it's going to start snowing again. So then it's this longing about, you know, being able to go skiing, but I can't anymore with my body anyway. You know, it wouldn't be fun. It would just be suffering. So, but the longing is still there, even though intellectually I know it won't be pleasant, you know. But then to think, okay, if I continue to do these actions, all that will produce is memories of longing and sadness. So then try to find memories like me with the little dogs, where it just makes you happy, and that's it, you know, helping somebody. Kind of with these, in case of these 3 dogs, saving their lives, even though it wasn't very comfortable, it was quite tiring. So, and then start to practice these things. Because then it gives you, you know, it gives you a good feeling already now, even though maybe sometimes it's difficult to practice patience. Is that more or less clear here? Yeah? Yes? If you're not saying anything, I assume yes. Sigal, did you raise your hand, or Yael or somebody? Oh, it was like this. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, we do have choices, you know, just to see what makes me already now happier. And when I think about what I did, what kind of sensation does it produce? Is it longing, sadness, or is it kind of, wow, yeah, content? Yeah. Okay, so we go to next verse. And so now here he says, surely material wealth will enable me to live, and then shall be able to consume evil and do good. But if I'm angry on account of it, will not my merit be consumed and evil increase? I give you another translation, maybe it's a bit more comprehensible. Perhaps we'll claim that our wealth, we live, and living gather merit, dissipating evil. But if we are ruthless for the sake of gain, is evil will be gathered, dissipating merit. So I think basically what it says, it's a little bit the Robin Hood principle, which Shantideva wouldn't say that's a good thing. Kind of, you know, with anger and aggression, we accumulate a lot of wealth. And then we say, oh yes, but because I'm wealthy, now I can do good to others. But you're still creating negative karma, even though you do it, you know, because you're, in that case, you're stealing. Yeah. So he says, you know, getting angry on account of my wealth because I want to do good with my wealth to others. It's also not, how to say, it is also not valid. It's for Shantideva, it's not a valid argument. But yeah, so Tenzin Zopa, I have some commentaries here. So what he says is, in one's conventional life, money is required to survive. There's nothing wrong with earning money or getting rich, okay? So don't think now getting poor is a virtue, by the way. The problem lies in grasping at it. Possessing money in a self-centered manner with no concern for others' well-being or without contentment, it becomes a cause for suffering and more samsara. As long as there is no mind of renunciation or benefiting others, the more one gathers, the creation of negative karma strengthens. Every extra dollar earned should cause us to feel gratitude to sentient beings that were kind of responsible for us to get this money. That's also, you know, very often, I close it again because I prefer to see you. But very often we think this is my money, and we totally forget. Yeah, you've worked for it, that's true. But we totally forget, but without many others, we would not have had the opportunity to earn that money. Yeah, so when you get money, when you get your salary, you, instead of, yeah, but I earn it, it's like really good to feel gratitude towards the people who contributed for you to get the money. So unfortunately, you know, the attitudes are in our society are totally wrong. Like usually when, I'm not talking about Dharma practitioners, okay? I'm not talking about you. But in general, when people have a business, when they employ somebody, they expect from the people they employ, that they should be grateful to get a job, and then they should work as much as possible But then, you know, the salary that they give them, they usually give not just the minimum, but definitely not a lot too much. Yeah. When you go to work, you you expect to be paid properly, but then also you're not so prepared to do more work than you think you should do, because otherwise you feel exploited. So, you know, we could change these attitudes. If you have a business that you think you are paying the people that you employ as much as possible and don't demand so much from them, you know, whatever work they do, you're happy with, but as much as possible, you give them the money, the salary. And if you are working for somebody else, you think, oh, I will work as much as possible. I'll give my best to do a good job, but, you know, salary is not so important. So it will still be the same, you know, people will have to do the work and the employer will have to give them salary. So what do you think about this one? Good idea?
As long as first, I think there's a requirement here that we actually enjoy our work, because doing a work that we not enjoy doing, we can't come with an attitude to do as much work as I can. So it should be a job that
Okay.
I enjoy, or at least makes me feel good about myself.
Okay, so you think enjoying the work, that has to do with the work or with your attitude?
I think it's both. I mean, ultimately, yes, it's my attitude. I can do anything and still enjoy it. Yet, I think there are things that will benefit me more and will make me feel good, and I will be successful at doing them more than other things. I mean, not all jobs are equal in that sense.
You remember, I think I told you the story when I was teaching some psychoanalysts. I was not teaching them. They're much more clever than I am. So who am I to teach them? They asked me to give a talk, so I gave them a talk. And so we talked about meaningful life, you know, and I said, well, you know, you with your profession, of course, you must think it's a very meaningful life. But what if you wouldn't have had the conditions to become a psychoanalyst? Because not everybody has the condition. Maybe some people have the capacity, but not the conditions. Yeah. And I said, what if you would have ended up working in a supermarket, kind of, you know, filling shelves, because there was no other opportunity for, you know, you couldn't get another job. Everybody agreed that that would be totally meaningless life. So then I said, okay, now let's look at this. That was before the COVID, okay? That was last time I was in Israel. So I said, look, if all of you go on strike for 3 months, nobody will die. But if people who fill the shelves go on strike for 3 months, we will die because we have nothing to eat anymore. So again, you see, if you fill shelves in a supermarket because you're forced to do that, and you're not really thinking what it means, you think this is a stupid job because you don't need so much intelligence or whatever. But if you don't do it, you know, people die. Would you agree with this? I think it's only when, you know, during the first lockdown, when this whole COVID thing started, and I remember we had this discussion, how people said how grateful they felt for the people who fill the shelves in the supermarket when they are empty, because people had encountered empty shelves. All of a sudden, people became aware, oh, the shelves do not fill themselves. Then, unfortunately, we forget again, you know. So, of course, you know, Tom, if you have a choice to do a job that you like, fine. But what are you going to do if you don't like your job? You're going to be miserable for your whole life having to do a job you don't like, or you train the mind to see the benefits of doing this job. I think if you just do it for the money, then we have a lot of jobs that are stupid and not nice and this and that. Yeah. I mean, every job can become pleasant, by the way. It depends how you approach it. This is just for the people then who don't find the dream job. You can really work with this.
Yeah, there's thing with the getting paid. The thing, this element which takes off the enjoyment. Like,
yeah,
I think that also when we organize the courses in Dharma Friends, and the enjoying just to giving and doing and creating, when it's voluntarily, it's happiness, and then we become, I know about myself, more narrow-minded and stingy when the payment is the thing. It empties the meaning in a way.
Yeah.
It happens. The stingy mind is there, and it's ruining and I think it has to work on your mind so it won't happen, that the essence will be the main thing.
Yeah. So you see, this is the good thing about that. For example, the Dharma Friends do everything on donation. So you have, you're not getting upset if somebody doesn't give anything, because it's on donation anyway. So it's, people can give whatever they want. Yeah, just 1 second, Leora. So, but what you can do, like, for example, also, I'm giving these talks, then, money comes, money doesn't come. I would give them anyway. So, of course, if money comes, I'm very happy. So it's like a bonus. So couldn't you do that in your job also? To see the salary as a bonus and to say, because you're a psychotherapist. So it's like, the job that you're doing is really helpful, is really useful also. Same as filling the shelves, by the way, in the supermarket. Same as somebody cleaning the toilets and cleaning the buses. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine? Like just today, I know I keep saying this, but when I heard it for the first time, I mean, it really struck me. Can you imagine that just today, whatever you consumed, whatever you were using, that made your life the way it is, how many people had to do their job properly so that you can wear your shoes, your clothes, your house, your bed that you're sleeping in, your food, the way you prepare it with your pots and pans and electricity and gas and water and taps and blah, blah, blah. There's no end to this. And we totally forget. Yeah, we totally forget. But we can change our attitude. But then again, I was hoping for you to have this argument. It is not fair that I go to my job just thinking, I just want to do the work and I'll work as much as I can, because then the employer will not recognize this as kindness and he will not give me as much money as he can give. I was hoping that you would have that argument, but you didn't. So because that's also, it's kind of, it doesn't matter then. If you go because you want to go to work, like you do in the Dharma Friends, as you say, then it doesn't matter whether your employer gives you more money or not. But if you start to have this attitude in order to manipulate the person into giving you more money because they can see that you really do whatever you can, then again, it's flawed. It's not the same. Leora, what did you want to say? Leora Kenneth.
I want to say that I agree with Netta that most of us, most of the time, have this attitude. I know a few people who said, I don't want to use my hobby as a profession because I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, right.
But I agree that it's our job to change our attitude, and it can be done slowly, slowly, and that's the beauty of it.
Exactly. So this is it. So this is what I'm encouraging you to change your attitudes. Yeah, and not to be so worried to be exploited when you are kind. I mean, there's always this fear to end up being the friar when you are kind. Yeah. So then check, Why do I want to be kind? Because I want to get something from this other person, or just for the sake of being kind and to give whatever I can give, and then to see at the time of death, will that be of any help? Any more arguments or comments?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
right.
can say as a psychologist that I learned, but I guess it is very specific for anyone. Yeah, for everyone is different, and you need to find your own way with money and everything. But I found out that for me and I think for my patient to have the fixed amount of money, it also gives me choice and them choice. For example, when I take the amount of money that I feel I deserve to take, and I think a lot about it every time, so then I will take more supervision. I will go more for therapy, and I will give money to these people who I'm trained with. And I also and also my patient, they don't feel like they have to ask favor from me. They start to choose where to have their money to have this therapy. So I'm not sure money is always such a problem. It depends how you use it, how you look at it.
Yeah.
I don't say this is the best thing to do. I'm just saying it's not black or white. And for me, it works better because then I can be quiet and I can be focused on what I do, and I can go deeper and I can learn more, and I can choose to give more money to my supervisors and then to give back to my patient, not with less money, but with more of my work.
Okay. Yeah, it's like money is a sticky substance, isn't it? And especially, I mean, it's so difficult. For example, if you lend money to a friend and they don't give it back to you, and you feel uncomfortable about it, and you feel uncomfortable about saying something or whatever, and but still you don't want to let it go because it's not fair and all this. I think it's Garchen Rinpoche who said, well, if you lend money to a friend and he doesn't give it back, he didn't say you shouldn't ask for it, okay? Because also the friend doesn't, it's negative karma for the friend. So have the courage to say, hey, you still owe me that money. But he said, if he doesn't give it back to you, then just think you have paid your bill from past lives, that somewhere, you have also some open bills there. Yeah. But even though, even though if you have a fixed salary, you can still go with the attitude to your work. Oh, I do my best. I give as much as I can. And then the salary is the bonus. Yeah. As you say, in professional life, having fixed prices, it really makes things easier. Even here, after years that we also do everything on donation, and we have people coming to say, but how much do I have to give? We haven't really understood this kind of concept of donation. And very often at the beginning, people think it's free. That's what it is. But it is kind of, like people give whatever makes them happy. I think it's good to see for us, whether it's work, whether it's money, whether it's your time, whether it's your kindness, give as much as possible, but what makes you happy, okay? Like, don't overdo it. And if somebody steals something from you, then think, if you can't get it back, and instead of carrying that with you and being upset, then just think, well, at the time of death, I have to leave it behind anyway. Yeah. Okay, so we didn't get very far. Well, we did 2 verses today. So we do some Tara practice. Homework, shall we keep with the death thing? And what shall I give you as homework? Maybe gratitude, to practice some gratitude during that week. to think about all the people that you think they're doing, you know, if you would have to do that job, you would think, oh my gosh, what a wasted life. What a meaningless job, you know, when you, if you would have to do the job and then you think, oh, but somebody is doing that job. And I can enjoy a clean bus, you know, filled shelves in the supermarket, clean streets, empty garbage containers, whatever. Yeah. Especially when you see the people, you know, we usually admire the people with fantastic jobs and, oh, you're doing such a great job. Have you ever said to the garbage man, oh man, you're doing such a great job? Again, I thought like garbage man in Israel is not the right example, because apparently people buy their garbage job in the mafia because they like it, because it's well paid, and it's very short hours, and there's not much traffic in the streets when they collect the garbage. I don't know if it's true, but if I look here in Switzerland, it's only foreigners who stand on these lorries, you know, kind of having that smell in their nose the whole day or half of the day. So I don't know. Yeah. Would that be some homework to do? It's not so difficult, actually. And this one, Tom, should make you happy. Gratitude. You know, when you see people doing jobs, or you think about, you can just think about them. You don't have to see them. You don't have to know them personally. When you think about somebody doing a job that you definitely wouldn't like to do, and you think, oh, somebody's doing their job. May they be happy. May I be able to repay that kindness at one point, and then see what happens. Because you see, the happier we are, as it said in one of the verses, the happier we are, the less anger has a chance. This is it. And the unhappier we are, the quicker we get frustrated, angry, and we totally lose it. Okay? So that's the homework. Let me write it down, because otherwise I forget. And then we do some reflection and some loving kindness, gratitude. Because again, you know, in order to have compassion, we need to have a lot of self-confidence, and we need to feel good about ourselves. So again, you see, if you make your life dependent to feel good about yourself, about what kind of job you're doing, wow, that's very dangerous. Because what if you can't do your job anymore? Whereas if we kind of make our happy life dependent on, oh, but I'm a kind person, I'm a good person, I'm at least trying to be kind, then, you know, kindness you can practice anytime. So we have much more chance. Yeah. It's also worthwhile to see the goals in our life. Yeah, to check that, is that a good goal that I have in my life to be successful? And so everybody kind of reaffirms how wonderful I am. Wouldn't it be much better to learn to live with failure? Wouldn't that be a better safety net, to be happy to learn to live with failure than to count on having success? Don't know. You know, I'm just putting out questions. I'm not giving you the answer. You have to find your own answer. Yeah? Okay. So let's do a short reflection and then some Tara mantras. Again, try to sit with a straight back. And to really feel good about ourselves, we are giving our free time to listen to these unpleasant things. They might be helpful, but in general, everything that is helpful is sometimes very unpleasant. And then just a loving kindness for ourselves. May I be safe. Just use the words, no need to manipulate anything. May I be protected from physical and mental harm. May I be strong, healthy, free from fear, loving and peaceful. And may I be able to live my life with joy and ease, not so much depending on outside conditions. May I be at ease. May the struggle I have with people I dislike, difficult situation, may I be able to deal with them by being at ease and joyful and enthusiasm. And then you visualize or imagine your own goodness that you might have felt now, because when we give ourselves loving kindness, then something relaxes in the body, and you can visualize that goodness as a ball of light in the center of your chest. And it just grows and fills your whole body. Your body becomes a body of light. And then we generate these thoughts for all beings. There's so many beings, who work for us. They don't know that they're working for us. Maybe they even hate their jobs, especially these cleaning jobs and what we call, stupid jobs or meaningless jobs. So many beings do that for us. Not consciously, but they do their job. Why? Because they don't have a choice. So may they and all others, may they be safe. And as we send out these thoughts, you see the light kind of emanating from your body like the sun, the rays of the sun, touching each and every being, bringing them these good wishes. You wish them well. May they be protected from physical and mental harm. May they be strong, healthy, free from fear and anxiety, loving and peaceful. And may they be able to live their lives and do their jobs with joy and ease. And then now, if you wish to, because we don't really, sometimes unfortunately, we don't trust these good thoughts that they make a difference. But I tell you, people can feel it when you approach them with the thought of, may you be well, may you be happy. You don't have to say it, but the attitude. So now we take the help of Tara, green Tara, who appears in the space in front of us with this green body. Green is the color of action of an enlightened being. So she is transparent. Here, of course, you don't see it on the picture, but imagine her three-dimensional, transparent in her heart moon disc, on top of it silver thumb. Around it are the syllables of the mantra, Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. She is the one who liberates all beings from fear and anxiety. So as we chant the mantra and then recite it silently, you visualize from your heart, from your body, light rays are going out, like supporting light rays, healing light rays that bring relief from the heat of suffering of like all kinds of fears and pains. And they are also going out from Tara's heart, touching each and every sentient being. And if this doesn't seem too exotic, then you think that all these beings around us that you visualize, think are there, they're transforming into green Tara. Because this is what we will do as fully enlightened beings. We will lead them to the state of being totally free from suffering and the causes of suffering, the state of full awakening. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 It's a bit deep, eh? Om Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Then we dedicate all the merits that we have created during this hour and a half, but also the merit of all other sentient beings and the merit we've created before. We dedicate it to the well-being of all sentient beings, not just the ones we like, not just the ones who are successful and that we admire or whatever. All beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings, just like us, find ways and means how to transform the mind so that whatever conditions are outside, we can still be totally open, totally calm, totally joyful, and totally at ease. And may we all be able, through our merits, to contribute to that. May I, instead of harming others, may I be of help to them as much as possible. And we can always be of benefit, even if it's just helping, opening the door to somebody or whatever. I think Leora Price told us the story at one point about this man who wanted to be a doctor, but then he couldn't study. And then he had to go and work in a hotel. like carrying the luggage of people. And first, of course, he was very unhappy. But then he thought, well, you know, my motivation for becoming a doctor was to be of helping others. Now I am helping others. I am kind of carrying their suitcases, so I don't know why I am so unhappy. And then he got quite happy. Yeah, because we can also have ambitions who are far too high, and then, you know, then we spend our life by thinking that we lost the purpose and this and that. And yeah, there's this story about Lama Ösel when he was a punk, and so they were hitchhiking with his brother Kunkien in Spain, in Ibiza. And so then was one very young man with a huge car. I don't know what, you know, today would be a Tesla. I don't know what it was then. And you could see very successful, but very young, very successful financially. He was working with computers or something. So he picked them up, these two, you know, one in his monk's robes, the other one a punk. And so he was kind of going on how much money he had made with this computer program, blah, 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 and how wonderful it was and this and that. And then he looked at Lama Ösel, who was then, as I'm saying, he was a punk, and he said, and you, what are you doing with your life? And then Lama Ösel, just in a very simple way, said, me, I just want to be of benefit to others. And Kunkien said, his brother, who was sitting at the back because he was telling the story, I mean, that totally blew that other person's mind. When he said, me, I don't know, I just want to be of benefit. And don't forget, you are of great benefit when you don't harm. This already is great benefit. You know, when we hear we want to be of benefit, we always want to help. But not harming others and not harming the environment, not harming other people, that already is of great benefit. So we have all the reasons to be happy. Okay, so have a grateful week, and I'll see you next week, maybe.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your participation. Did you mention Geshe-ma is teaching next weekend? Did you say that? This coming weekend? Was it mentioned? Yeah?
I didn't. Liora, you want me to say a few words about it?
It's this coming weekend, isn't it?
Yes, this coming weekend we have our first course with Geshe Kelsang Wangmo in her virtual visit to Israel for this year.
Yeah.
So the first course, 400 stanzas of Arya Deva. Very demanding, very interesting, very beneficial, very good teacher. Do join us.
It's everything very good. I mean, you know, just have the occasion to hear them from these masters is like really amazing. And the 400 stanzas, as Leora says, they're not so easy. It's a lot about emptiness also, but also a lot about, like, same as Shantideva does, a lot of, like, you know, giving you good reasons to transform the mind. Like really, really useful, and really, some of them quite down to earth also. Yeah, really inspiring. So I don't know if she can get through all the 400 verses in one weekend. That's a bit too ambitious, maybe. But
even though we have long hours, she probably won't cover everything.
No,
but anyone who wants to be generous for himself,
yeah, take the time, because she's such an amazing teacher. I mean, it's like, wow. Yeah. And she does, you know, because His Holiness is teaching tomorrow morning again. I mean, it's not teaching. It will be a dialogue again tomorrow morning. So she's doing the German translation. So she's doing that also. Like whenever His Holiness teaches, she's doing simultaneous translation. Yeah, thank you very much. And be safe, stay healthy, and be happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye everyone. תודה רבה לכולם.
תודה רבה.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
להתראות, תודה.
Stay safe. Bye.